he said we took liveness. We have Google Liveness. It is the Martin Fowler Scrum on a Friday, and we have Sigurd, and we have Will, and we have Michael. Let's start with Michael, who was in first. Michael, anything to report?
Yeah, so I now have the code. I now have the last 3 weeks of data being pulled out of Slack in terms of the chat.
Right.
And I was able to, I mean, it's a bit of a spike there, but, and then I was able to very quickly use R's facilities to engineer that into the required features for our prediction model.
Indeed.
And then I ran it through the prediction model, and it came out extremely close to doing it the other way, except there was a difference in one person. And I think that's because that person,
is in that collaborative channel.
That collaborative channel, which does not seem to be coming out. It doesn't seem to be coming, at least from the channels API.
Yeah, no, that sort of makes sense. Great work. Then this is it's all on the master branch here in automated premium model. Yeah. Cool. So no immediate blockers then.
The immediate blocker is last night I tried to ping Slack with it, and it wasn't immediately obvious how to do that. I think I may have to set up a bot or get like a proper API
for the WebSocket. So you mean that like of it sending? Yeah, got you. Okay, good to know. Great, fantastic. All right.
And then one other thing is the Azure.
Yeah, you need to be able to. I'm going to roll you an Ubuntu instance of Azure. Cool, nice one. All right, let's go to Will, who is in next. Hey, Will, how are things going with you?
Good, thanks. I've got a question. I'm trying to practice test-driven development. Is this right now? Can I ask this question now?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I might take the long or short, depending on the type of question. I might take the answer to the end, but do ask the question.
Okay. Yeah. And what I've figured out is that I need to show, as well as my tests passing, I need to show that my tests can fail.
Yes.
So what I've done is I've got a broken implementation which the tests run against, and they're supposed to fail, and then they are supposed to run correctly on the correct implementation. Is that first of all, is that standard, and is there some kind of framework that could help me with it? Because it's just I can see that it might not scale very well.
Indeed. Well, that's a great question, and there are lots of different answers to it. And yes, so if I can. Let's put a pin in that question, and we'll get to that at the end of the Scrum. Great stuff.
I'm also just here in case anybody has any questions about why. I think I'll join it with the Sama later, maybe.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely. Yeah, some people sort of prefer just hanging out in Slack rather than joining the Scrums. It's always good to be here, though. Great. Yeah, excellent question, Will. Let's just go on to Sigu. How are things going with you, Sigu?
Good morning. Good afternoon, morning, or wherever you are. Oh, you can hear me. Nice. So morning hours, I spent it studying some Elixir. Yeah, I was going through Dave Thomas's book, just getting comfortable with Elixir. Not really much coding right now, and I was also looking for some jobs remotely that at least I can work on. But in the afternoon, I was planning to at least pick something on local support. Yeah, I went through the pivotal track, and there was nothing that was a bit obvious that I could pick up on and work with.
Sure, no problem. Okay, sounds good. And anything else?
No, not really. Only if you can help me at least pick up an issue other than the one I was working on, because I'm having issues with my virtual machine and the Ubuntu thing. I do not have Ubuntu right now.
Sure, no worries. Although I certainly help with that, and it's a reminder to me that we have got some voting that we could do as well that I've been remiss in not doing in the Scrums, and we can share that to Will. I guess, or let me do my update. So this morning I was working on reviewing analytics from the website one, looking at the changes to the getting started pages. I did have an idea about retargeting our AdWord campaign. Anyway, that's for the marketing meeting. and then I seem to have spent most of the rest of the time like basically setting up pairing sessions with people. Actually, I'm kind of having lots of discussions with people about setting up these pairing sessions on different projects, and I'm like, yeah, let's do lots of pairing. So that's cool. Have we got it's the React Mob coming up in an hour. We've got the website 1 meeting. We've got the Agile Ventures community meeting later on to check in on general news from around Agile Ventures. Not blocked, although I am trying to make a big decision about probably what I'm going to focus on next week, which is, should I build like a sort of a fast and nimble front end for the website 1 in Middleman, or possibly even in Rails 5, like as a separate thing, or should I be focusing on tweaking the performance on the existing system? Anyway, something for me to wrestle with. You can read all the details in my blogs being posted in the blog drafts channel. Yeah, so I think that's update from me. Well, we had the local support meeting yesterday, which was actually just myself and Brent, and actually he and I are going to be pairing later today on a new framework to generate like a API for all of the charities that exist in the whole of the UK. Ooh, actually England and Wales. But yeah, Sigu, if you're free later and you want to sit in on that session, you're more than welcome. I think Brent's been sitting in on some sessions, and he just upgraded to premium face-to-face, so I'm sure he'll be happy if you're keen to see that. Also, Sigu, you and I are working on we're going to do some pairing. That is, we are scrummed. Scrum done. Let's come back to Will's question, which is about TDD, and that was a really interesting question, Will. And so now, can we see? I've got the Y code here. Can I see the sort of test stuff that you're doing somewhere, or is that in a different branch? Or
yeah, I haven't pushed that yet. I'm just working on that at home.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah,
I mean the standard procedure that I'm used to is this kind of red-green refactor model, which is that I think in test-driven development, you kind of write a test and you don't have any application code. So you then watch the test fail for the right reason, and then you write your application code, and then you see the test go green. Yeah. And then you're refactor. So you probably heard that phrase. You're familiar with that?
Yeah. So I was doing that. Well, I was thinking about that, and I was just thinking, well, how can I guarantee after that if I change if something in the test changes as I'm working on the code, I've got no proof that the test will fail, because
you're absolutely correct. That is a flaw in the model of the existing test-driven development, and I've had the same thought myself, and my sense is that the test-driven community doesn't kind of care that much.
Yeah,
it's like a level of consistency that most people are not interested in. Not saying that people shouldn't be interested in it, but just my sense from people who come from the more sort of getting stuff done business side of things are less worried about than people coming from more the academic side of things, where it's like, can we have correctness? The usual things, like, I think what you're saying there is absolutely true. The way I approach that, or at least try to partially approach that, is that I'm very careful about refactoring tests. Like, if your application code is changing underneath, there is a possibility that you change it in such a way that the test would now no longer fail, like it would always pass. But that's kind of an extreme corner case. Like, if you are making changes to the application code and you've written the test correctly, then in principle you're refactoring with, like, you've got a good test for the good code. So the refactoring, if the refactoring then breaks the test, you should know about it. If the refactoring, I'm sure one could construct a situation where refactoring of the application code would then make the test invalid, but I think that's where rigor on the part of creating the test in the first place. But that's less interesting in the situation where you start making changes to the tests. Now, it's entirely possible that you can make a change to the test that makes the test become a vacuous test, which is the phrase that I often use, and I know a lot of people do use, although maybe confusing. And so you've got to be very careful. Right. You've got to be very careful when you're refactoring the tests. Often what people are doing is they'll refactor the test, they'll rerun the test, they're still all green. You haven't seen them fail.
Yeah, that's right. That's what because you see them fail initially.
Yes.
before you've written them.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you see them fail initially.
Yep.
Yeah, and then there's a risk when you start refactoring them that. So what I'm trying to do is test the tests, and the very like the bare minimum that I could do is just to see that they can in fact fail each time I run the tests.
Yes, and I mean I tend to do that in an ad hoc fashion. That if I'm refactoring the tests heavily, right, then I will kind of comment out the bits of the code and check that they fail again.
Yeah, that's what I was doing yesterday, and I thought, well, this isn't going to scale. Yeah.
Right. I mean, so the ways around, there is a thing called mutation grading, where you have a setup which automatically introduces errors into your application code and then checks that the tests fail.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Okay.
So there is an automated approach.
That sounds good.
For that, which I think is not, most. What's ironic is actually most people don't seem to care that much about the rigor. Although actually, I think large groups like Netflix and whatever, they have that chaos monkey, and there's actually a whole at the larger scale of introducing all sorts of errors into the live systems to make sure that they can be detected and recovered from.
Yeah.
And then what's the other thing? Yeah, I mean, the idea I had when I've been thinking about this a few years ago is like, in principle, you could annotate the test so that the test pointed to a bit of the code that, when removed, the test should fail. Right. The problem is that moves away from behavior-driven development, where you're saying that the internals should be a black box, and by making that connection, you're losing some of the like important encapsulation of your test. So the mutation grading or the mutation testing and it's chaos monkey, mutation testing, so on. They're the things maybe to look at.
So,
yeah.
Go on, Michael.
I was going to say, in terms of annotating the tests, like you were saying, the problem I think with that, I mean, nobody's really done it, I don't think, but if you were to do it, it would make refactoring the app cumbersome versus the current model. Right.
You'd have to be, when you did the refactoring, you'd have to be relinking the test to say
relinking the test and changing.
Yeah. Which I think is, I mean, maybe that's actually good from a consistency point of view, but it's definitely more work. So yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is, like, in our current, although in some ways I'd love that there was like a CI plugin for mutation testing on some of our projects, so that when people were submitting pull requests with tests, there would be like it would automatically rerun the thing without the app code or with bits of the app code missing, and check that their tests fail, because otherwise we're relying upon the kind of rigor on the part of the developer who's doing the submitting, and if it's a novice developer, or then I've got to like sort of check that, or whoever's merging them has got to check that manually. But at the same time, in a web production system where it's just like showing our products, it's very easy to manually see what's going on. For the Y project, you've got this Ethereum thing. Once the code is released, you can't kind of withdraw it or change it, right?
Yeah, and it's more that it's handling money as well.
Yes, absolutely. So you've got a much higher level of consistency that you want to ensure, and so yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm just getting a few links to some of these things for you. I was hearing also about kind of something beyond Chaos Monkey. So Chaos Monkey was this thing that Netflix does, where they introduce errors. There was this kind of DevOps mobbing activity that the people were doing in one company, where basically one person would explicitly introduce, this is not just like a randomly selected, they would introduce an error into the production system that was, they were basically trying to make it as difficult as possible to find. And then one person would have to be like the, it's like adversarial model, who has to fix it, but they're doing it live in a Hangout while everybody's watching, and they're saying, "Oh my God, this is broken! I got to do this! I got to do this!" And there's like a very, I think that's, I would love to start doing some like DevOps mobbing on things like that. It sounds kind of fun, but as a performance spectator sport.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Spectator sport.
Indeed. Well, so I think that's question covered there for Will, and I put those links in the general channel.
Thanks.
It's the kind of thing we can definitely discuss further in Tech Talk and in future Scrums. Sigu was also, I hope that was potentially interesting for Sigu, was he was waiting around on his question about what things for local supportness. And I guess we have one of the things with Michael's new and Marian's new changes, we are able to run multiple votes in channels at the same time. So there's an existing vote going on in, or actually 2 votes, I think, going on in local support. Go on, Sigu.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say this because maybe either Michael or will be dropping out. So yesterday, I forgot to mention this. Yesterday, I was at a meetup, Ruby meetup in Nairobi. There's a guy, I came in late and found some guy presenting. He had a presentation. He's basically making a project that will teach kids how to do computer programming.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm yet to meet him on Monday.
Mm.
Yeah, get full information about that project, then I'll share it with you guys.
Wonderful.
I managed to convince him to make it open source.
Yay.
Yeah, so I managed to do that. I'm meeting on Monday again so that I can give you guys full details on that particular. It seemed like a very interesting project that I can personally use on schools.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, that's great.
Thanks.
We'll look forward to hearing more about that. On that note, we've got the Open Farm project collaboration channel. The request is out, so we'll see if that comes through. Excellent, Sigurd. Thanks for that. So yeah, the thing I was going to say here was we've got. So Sigurd, one of the things to do is, particularly when you're looking for things, is help us vote on stuff. So Brent opened a vote here on improving the embedded map tests. That maybe you looked at that ticket as you passed through, or maybe not because it's in the icebox and unestimated. So if you were interested in voting on that, I could answer questions about it if you were up for that, which could happen now in the Scrum, or well, it's post Scrum and we're in like post chatty, what have you. I could leave you to look at it and you can vote using the async voter, or we can chat now, or maybe I should focus on finding you a story.
No, not really. Can you just go back to the story? I just want to have a look at something.
Yeah. So this is the story here. So now we've actually deployed that. Brent has got this an embeddable version of the map. So now if we go to here, which is the main site, we can go to /embedded/map, and we get like a complete map that can then go in an iframe in another site and be like, oh, here, check out these volunteer opportunities going on in Harrow. And Brent wants to put some more tests in, like as a result of like his different experiments, he wants to do more stuff about testing it to check that the pop-up works as expected and that the map container is present.
Okay, makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, I mean, feel free to vote on that, and indeed, Michael or Will, if you're interested. We've also got, this is the one that Brent and I are going to be pairing on later today, which is actually kind of an epic. It's there. This is about, there are these data dumps from the Charity Commission of all of the charities in England and Wales, and there are some Python scripts that will turn that into nice data form, and we're talking about just wrapping some API on that and setting it up so that in the first instance, the Harrow Community Network can make sure that its information about the charity organizations is up to date, but ultimately maybe other people in the country can do the same thing. So those are our two votes there.
Yeah, if you get stuck with that, then let me know, because one of my somebody I know has made that database available as an API, but I can't remember.
Oh right.
What terms I'll have to get back in. It was about a year ago that I
yeah. Well, there's this site, Open Charities, which provides, it is sort of an API because you can click through on individual items and then you can do .json on it and get the data out.
Oh, okay.
And this has been around for about 3 or 4 years, but I'd be very interested in if there's someone who's done it,
Yeah,
particularly if they've open sourced the code behind the API, I'd be really interested to hear about that.
yeah. I don't. Maybe that site's more general purpose than what he had. He was writing software that writes wills.
Oh yeah,
or that's his business anyway.
sure.
So it may. I'll get back in touch with him and see exactly what it was for.
Yeah, that would be fantastic if it's already done. I mean, the two groups that I know that have done it are, one is this KindLink is a private company, and they haven't created an API. They've downloaded the data and they've stuck it in their own database, and they're not sharing the API.
Yeah.
These guys, they did this before the data dump was even available, and they were originally scraping it. But again, the problem we have with this one is we can't search it for things that are in a specific geographical area, and so that's the key thing. The key functionality we'd be looking for, apart from access to the data, is to be able to request all of those charities that exist within a certain area from the
API. Okay, and how are you defining? Are you like, is that a point with a radius?
It's going to be postal districts. So we would like to. I mean, I think there's different ways to do it. And actually, so Brent is the author with some other folks of this location counts site, which does these things. He did, like, he's got it set up so that in this one that you can like kind of specify like a regional area. I don't know what's happening there. Ooh. Yeah, but like you can kind of specify. Anyway, there's lots of
different ways of doing it.
Different for the purposes of the Harrow Community Network. I mean, the way we initially populated was by taking the set of postcodes that are explicitly in the London Borough of Harrow, and then we filtered the full database.
Yeah. Okay. So you're just saying that if it can do it by area at all, then you're interested.
Oh yeah. I mean, even if it was like just give us everything within 3-4 miles of a particular point, which is what we do for our Do It. We go out to the Do It API. That's really handy.
Okay.
And even if he had just something that he built that didn't have that functionality, but it was open source, and we could add that functionality to it, that would be very interesting as well.
Okay. Yeah. I'll get in touch with him. I just saw he was starting up another community in Nottingham again. So cool.
Oh well, this is fantastic. This is what the Scrums are all about: is mentioning these things and finding these connections. Wonderful. Thanks so much, Will. Going back to Sigurd, you're kind of looking for the thing to work on, and forgive me if I use this as an opportunity to explain my heuristic for finding things to do in projects. Is that too intrusive of me, or you're interested to hear my little heuristic? Sigurd, if you're still there.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm cool.
Good stuff. So this is I kind of try to make this. I don't know. I got this in my mind, and I need to spend more time getting it out. But the heuristic is for a given project is obviously so you're trying to find a story. So there's looking through the board, which you've already done very sensibly. I would also say there's like if the project is using voting, like voting on any existing tickets, like particularly or any existing votes, or starting new votes. Not every project does that, but then there's also, as part of the process, is reviewing open pull requests. So one of the things, if we go and find, I'm sure I've got it somewhere close. Actually, I've also got, like, this page is supposedly about stuff like that. I've been trying to write down this heuristic of going through the, so there's one step is sort of reaching out to anybody who's like in process but seems to be stuck. Obviously, there's the open tickets in the backlog you could be looking at, or anything in the icebox that looks interesting. You could start a vote on it in order, even if you don't plan to work on it, just to get some activity going. The other thing is the pull requests. So if we go and look at the pull requests, I mean, I've just been through. I've got here 2 open pull requests that have kind of they've made certain amount of progress, but then the folks have dropped off. Do you know what I mean? I haven't heard from them recently. So one thing to do, it's interesting. You might from the point of view of yourself, prefer to start work on something that is completely fresh and clean. From a project manager's point of view, like having these pull requests hanging around and open, it's kind of to the detriment of the project. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hope you heard me.
I didn't hear you. The microphone came on, but I didn't hear any sound from your side.
Oh yeah.
But so from the project with my project manager's hat on, I would say if you were in a position to jump in and help out with either of these two, that would be extremely valuable, because that would allow us to, one, not lose any potential value from the code that's been submitted, and two, we then reduce the number of open pull requests, so the project kind of looks in better shape. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So there's one, this guy, Federico, Francis, he started on this thing about posting to the social media feeds, but then got kind of confused with the VCR and Puffing Billy gems that we use, and we haven't really heard from him for quite a long time. And then Marouen has been a much more regular contributor, and he's trying to do something like he actually wrote all this functionality for us to post volunteer opportunities to the third-party Do It site, but there's an issue with duplicates that comes up, and he hasn't been around for a while. So do either of those sound interesting to you, Sigu? But it's perfectly fair if you're like, I want a fresh thing that no one else has worked on before. What rings your bell?
I think I can go with looking at whatever already exists, like the two pull requests. I can start with the last one, social media feeds.
Yeah, and one of the things that you might do, you're looking through the code and you might end up saying, I don't think we can use this, or what have you. That's a perfectly reasonable, resolution to get to. It's as project manager, I'm kind of like doing this general. I want to kind of keep the ship shape, and so ideally we want to be closing as many issues and tickets as possible, and particularly pull requests. Because, and I'm sure you know this, but the longer the pull request stays here, the further and further it gets out of date with the develop branch, and then the more and more difficult and more and more painful it is to merge at some point in the future.
Yeah.
All right. So that was sort of my heuristic there. Review. Yeah, that was my heuristic for, trying to get, and that can be like then starting on stale ones and providing comments on ones close to merge. So anyway, that's. So is that? Are we good there, Sigu?
Yeah, reviewing on opening, starting on stale ones, providing comments on. Yeah, I think that's a good point to start. I can start by looking at the open ones, and I started looking at Stella's pull request yesterday night, but I think I was too tired to find anything, because she was claiming that the tests are passing on the local machine, but not on a CI, is it called Climate? Yeah.
There's Code Climate is our testing the styles, and then there's the CI is Travis for.
I think it was Travis. Yeah, so Travis was failing, but on the local machine it was passing.
Yeah, and so we did. I think she's just pinging me now. We got here. Yeah. So now, of course, that may just be, we do have these intermittent failures, and it is a particularly difficult thing to track down and sort out. And we let's go have a quick, since we're on this, let's have a quick look at that and see. There was a failure here at this point. Stella's also just pinging me in Slack and asking me something. Here. So I really must make this so that it minimizes the output from the first run.
Yeah, I tried looking for how to rebuild it because probably it might have been just a random failure.
Yeah.
But it seems that I'm not the admin, so I could not rebuild this particular.
Yeah. So
I've seen you have that ability.
Yeah, and I do, and we could certainly add you now. And this, so the thing is here. We look at these failures. They don't look like the standard ones that we get for the intermittent failures. Myself, the other thing that can be confusing about this sort of thing is that the cache can be different on the user's local machine, like the VCR Puffing Billy cache can be different from the remote one. But these look, I mean, this is saying like no root matches. I mean, they're fairly serious errors. Let's get back up to the top. I can restart the build there. I can add that to my to-do list is get Sigu admin for restarting build on local support. To be honest, I'd prefer that if anybody could. I can't see why that's something that we want to be restricted to. I don't know, like I guess there's these evil people who go around restarting our builds, and we don't want them restarted. That would be nasty. Evil gremlins. So have a look. Let's just quickly have a look at the code. We've got events. Is there some changes to the routes?
No.
No. I mean, I'm very surprised. Yeah, I mean, maybe there was some network timeout or something. None of the code changes here look like they would cause those sorts of problems. So
yeah.
Have you pulled? I mean, I know you. I mean, the thing that I would do here is I would grab this and run it locally myself. I guess I won't do that now because I should probably go and get a couple
I actually ran it because the push that failed was mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The last commit was my commit, which failed.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. And so your change there was just to change that single test, and so this is passing locally on your machine, presumably.
Yes.
Yeah. So that seems like that's there'll be some kind of we'll see how that reruns on the build. Yeah.
Gremlins.
Okay. Gremlins. There are so many gremlins. All right. Yeah. Lots of things sorted out. I guess I'm just going to pop my looking through. Yeah. Cool. I'll maybe share that in the local support thing with you, Sigu. Right. Yeah, well, so coming up, we've got the React mob. I might see some of you there. And yeah, thanks, everyone. Good session.
I found the my friend's API. It's live.
Oh,
so I'll post it on the general.
Wonderful. I look forward to seeing that. Great. All right, thanks, Will. Thanks, Sigu. Thanks, Michael. See you all very soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.